Today, on Be Something Wonderful, nothing is final and there are no facts until you say so. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. It's a big morning today. I want to talk about two very different sessions with clients and two very different vantage points from which they are seeing reality or perceiving reality. And how I want to start this is I read a comment on the channel from another subscriber this morning that is a perfect segue into what we're talking about today. And she asked this question, and I get where it's coming from. She said, is it possible for a post-menopausal woman who hasn't already, notice she's putting other conditions on this, who hasn't already frozen her eggs, to have a biological baby? And please tell me if it's possible. I want to believe, but I can't believe it. This was the comment. And here's the thing. If you believe that that this woman is postmenopausal, then by definition, by your assumption, it's not possible. Do you see it? You create it with your assumption that a postmenopausal woman can have a baby. That's your belief. That's your assumption. So it's not possible. Do you get it? You create it all. You determine the facts. You determine the possibilities. It's all within you. You determine what's final, what reality is. No one can tell you that. That's why Jesus asked the question, who do you say I am? Right? And he pressed his disciples after they went into a tangent on John the Baptist, Elijah, some say Jeremiah or the prophets, and he says, but who do you say I am? So that's my question for you. Who do you say you are? Because that determines whether anything's possible. That's how I want to start today. So two very different client stories. One, nothing is happening. So this is one client, and there was a similar comment on the channel. So I'm glad I've got this up. This is a synchronicity here. This client saying nothing's happening, and this is what she's saying. So I'm expected to just close my eyes to the conditions around me. Tom, I'm expected to just close my eyes, see that perspective. Nothing is happening. 3D conditions are bothering me. They're frustrating me. They're throwing a wrench into what I want to be. Right? You're looking out at the conditions. And so nothing is happening. Right? That's your reality. You create it. Those are the facts you see. That's the reality you create. Right? That's what you see as final. Right? And then this other client, everything is unfolding. I really get it. Conditions are conditions, but I am. That's what he said to me. I loved it. I loved it. He said, Tom, I really get it. Conditions are conditions, but I am. What a beautiful affirmation, right? Everything's unfolding for this guy. Because why? Look at the difference in perspective. Look at the vantage point. Look at who they are being or who they're conscious of being. What and who you are conscious of being is your reality, without exception. It's not about, I think some of you were talking about, whether they manifest this thing or something better. It's nothing about that, right? It's not about manifesting anything in the higher reality. It's about who you're conscious of being. And that determines what you're going to experience, or quote, what you're going to manifest. Right? So it's who you're conscious of being. Matthew 16 through 13. Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? This is the Son of Man represents that rational mind, that 3D you, but that 3D you that has the potential to see the higher reality. It's that God in you that is seeing through the eyes of that 3D reality, right? Who do they say I, the Son of Man, is? That's your potential as God. That's your potential. That's your unrealized I amness, right? You're there. You have all that potential. Some say John the Baptist, others Elijah, still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Remember, Son of Man is Jesus the man, right? And I am is Christ, that Christ within you. It's that higher power. That's your potential. Who do you say I am? And then they go off, the disciples talking about all these possibilities, just like you're saying, well, nothing's possible. How can this be possible? Look at the conditions. I'm expected to just look around me and look at John the Baptist and Elijah and everyone else. Do you see it? But who do you say I am? Jesus, again, I bring this up several times because it's such a big question. As he presses it, it's your I am. It's your higher self asking you. It's you asking you, who are you? Because that determines your entire life experience. That determines from what vantage point and through what being you are seeing reality. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Finally, Peter answers. It always gives me chills. You are Christ, the Son of the living God. In him we live, we breathe, we have our being. That's what we're talking about here. So let's get into it. Remember, I am is greater than any temporary condition. This client gets it. Everything's unfolding. His life is heaven on earth. This client is saying nothing's happening. So I'm just expected to close my eyes to these conditions. Remember, you are those conditions. You create them. There's no separation. So I really want to get at this today. Tom, I really get it. The conditions are the conditions, but I am. I love this. I love this. Thank you for giving this, because it's about seeing and knowing the greater reality behind all appearances, no matter what. You can't see it by asking if this is possible, if that is possible. What about this condition? Am I expected to just shut my eyes to those conditions? And I get it. I get what you were asking. There was some frustration there. I understand that. I get it. There was a slight feeling of this is overwhelming. I just can't get past it, right? Jesus, your I am, his message, the message of Jesus always was clear. Do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. This is why I keep bringing this up over and over again. The message wasn't not to look, not to notice, not to experience 3D conditions. It was never about not judging conditions. It was about judging them righteously. It wasn't about not looking at conditions. It was about looking at them righteously. It wasn't about not noticing conditions. It was about noticing them righteously. It wasn't about not experiencing 3D conditions. It was about experiencing them righteously, right? From that higher perspective, right? To know that you don't exist separate from those conditions. You don't exist separate from 3D reality. That's the greater knowing that the ancients from the beginning of time have been trying to tell us. That's big. So that's the true meaning behind do not judge so that you will not be judged. Another thing that Jesus says in Scripture, right? Do not judge so that you not be judged. It's not about not judging. What was Jesus saying here? Jesus saying when you do judge, you're judging as those conditions. And so that's all you'll be able to see. You're judging as that reality. You are that judgment. That's what Jesus is getting. In other words, you're always judging and looking at reality as reality. There is no separation. So as you judge, you are judged, because that becomes your reality immediately in the judgment of it. Do you see it? So you and your environment cannot be regarded as existing separately. You and your world are one. Neville Goddard. Perfect. Perfect quote for this, right? Perfect what Neville's saying here. There's no separation. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, be greater than time, be greater than the conditions, right? Be greater than all of it. Judging righteously means seeing all conditions from that greater perspective of unity and love, of no separation. That's the whole idea of what the impersonal God means, that impersonal subconscious. It means there's no separation. Impersonal doesn't mean cold, without a heart, not caring. It means that it doesn't see it. It's the opposite. It means that greater power, that God consciousness, that greater subconscious doesn't see itself separate from anything. That's what gives it its unlimited power. Because within it is all power, all creation, all events, all conditions. So anything is possible. Do you see it? That's so powerful today. It's not, and it's never about closing your eyes to reality, right? I know where you're coming from. I hear it. I feel that frustration, but it's not about that. Rather, it's always about seeing it from fulfillment. Seeing it from fulfillment, from the center of that greater beingness that I am, no matter what. That's what it's talking about. This is what Neville Goddard says. You must turn from the appearance of things to the subjective center of things, your consciousness, if you truly desire to know the cause of the phenomena of life. Right? He's not saying ignore it. He's just saying turn to what it really is, that subjective center. Know that there is no separation. That's a big one right there. Nothing is final. There are no facts until you say so. I've said that dozens of times in videos, but never like we're saying it today. We're looking at it, we're always leveling up from a different vantage point. There are no facts outside of what you assume and believe, period. So when you ask the question, like that subscriber asked, a postmenopausal woman, can she have a baby? No, because she's a postmenopausal woman, because you've defined it. You've collapsed it. You've finalized the facts. You say no, because you're defining postmenopausal women as it's not possible to have a baby. Do you see it? So what you assume and believe, go your way. This is what Jesus said in Matthew 18. This is the story of the centurion when Jesus healed the centurion's servant. Go your way, and as you have believed, so let it be done for you. Let it be done for you, through you, as that higher power. Go your way. Walk in fulfillment, in other words. Jesus is saying, walk and wish fulfilled. Go your way. Walk and wish fulfilled. Because as you have believed, as you have assumed, it will be done for you and through you. That's powerful. If you keep your mind centered in the awareness of dwelling in your destination, you cannot fail. Neville Goddard. That's what we're talking about. Just center it in the awareness of dwelling in your outcome, in your desired end. Period. Just move your awareness. Remember, you are awareness. That's all there is. That's all there is to reality. And you cannot feel. Nothing is final. There are no facts until you say so. Till you say conditions are conditions, but I am. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking and sharing the videos. Thank you for your comments. We have a Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin, or just go to our website anytime at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. Creators, with great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude, this is Tom. We'll see you soon.